It seems that the majority of positive outcomes throughout human history are also balanced out by an equally negative side. The Mongolian Empire opened trade routes praised by historians and economists, but that came with a price tag: the utter decimation and integration of a significant amount of the world population. The cons may have changed the world, but personally, I feel that the cost was far too high. When dealing with history, it's easy to get hung up on the evil or good that came out of a situation. We tend to seek out the information that helps us state our case or back up our perceived version of reality. Confirmation bias, if you will. I do it as well, and definitely have some negative feelings about Sears and the Craftsman brand. But I can't let my politics cloud the history of this massive piece of American capitalism. I could easily say, I don't care for Sears and Craftsman because they stole tool ideas from the little guy, and they definitely have. However, taking a closer look at the history of Sears and Roebuck, a very interesting and generally positive story begins to emerge. Richard Warren Sears, like many men in the early 1800s, worked for the railroad. As station agent, this put him into a unique position of handling freight shipped through the railroad. While in North Redwood, Minnesota, a jeweler complained to him about a shipment of watches that were mistakenly manufactured, shipped, and charged, but never ordered. After several frustrating days, it would seem that the jeweler would be stuck with the watches, and unfortunately, no customers. Sears, seeing the opportunity, offered to purchase all the watches at a reduced rate, and the jeweler, not wanting to have his money tied up in product with little to no customers, reluctantly agreed. Rumors quickly circulated around the rail yards that a station manager in Minnesota had high-quality watches for sale at a great price. Sears soon sold out and made a considerable profit. Sears used the profits to start a mail-order watch company, calling it R.W. Sears Watch Company. Within the first year, he met Alva C. Roebuck, a watch repairman, and they teamed up, relocating the business to Chicago. A few years later, Sears sold the business for a huge profit. With the profits from that sale and the knowledge gained, they knew they could build something bigger. In 1882, Sears and Roebuck was born. Watches, sure. Jewelry, of course. It had served them well in the past, but this time they knew they would enter the market with a much more diverse product line, and that revolutionized the marketplace. The Sears catalog burst onto the scene and changed everything. Rural farmers and townfolk were beholden to the general store. Before the advent of the automobile, it was the only reasonable place to purchase goods. That is, reasonable as a monopoly could be. The store made its profits by selling at a high price. Often farmers would barter butter, cheese, eggs, vegetables, and other foods, which the merchant would resell. Prices were not marked on each item. Instead, the customer negotiated a price. Men did most of the shopping since the main criteria was credit rather than quality of goods. Indeed, most of the customers shopped on credit, paying off the bills when crops, hogs, or cattle were later sold. When it came to special order items like farming equipment and gadgets, the general store would charge whatever they thought they could get for the item. Something that would cost $2 to manufacture and 5 cents to ship and never took up any space in the store could end up costing the farmer $15 or more. A markup retailers in large cities with competition would never dream of. You can find the same product on their shelves for $3 or $4. Furthermore, if a farmer had surplus goods and wanted to sell them to the general store, the sale would often be negotiated in store credits or tokens. This guaranteed two things. All the money paid to the farmer would return to the store, and depending on what was purchased, with huge profits to the shopkeeper. This was the fatal flaw of the general store, and it would be the Sears catalog that literally delivered the coup de grace. Sears' plan was simple: publish catalogs offering customers a wider selection of products and clearly state the price. No negotiation required, just a fair price with a competitive markup on thousands of products. By 1894, the Sears catalog had grown to 322 pages, including many new items such as sewing machines, bicycles, firearms, farming implements, tools, automobiles, and even a kit house you could build yourself. Imagine what it was like those first few weeks on the farm after the catalog arrived. The after-dinner excitement as the family sat by candlelight, flipping through the pages of what at the time might have seemed like a science fiction book. There were so many new contraptions and incredible inventions, every one built to streamline a process and to take the time and labor out of a task, freeing them up to plant more, reap more, live more. It seemed as if their fortune had changed overnight and their labor and toil suddenly had so much more buying power. I could probably go on for hours on the economic and social impact this had on the country, but We can simplify it a bit. Job creation. Buyers at Sears would approach a company for a product list and choose the best items for the catalog. Once in the catalog, the orders came pouring in, and a company used to producing only a few hundred of that item were now tasked to produce thousands. This meant more jobs to expand the factory, more companies such as Niagara Tools to build the tooling needed to build the product, more people to run the tools, more people to process the orders, more freight jobs to ship the products, more printing presses to make the catalog, and so on. Sears had a profound effect on all Americans, regardless of class or skin color. The catalog gave black consumers a freedom they were not afforded in many places. Unlike white store owners, the Sears catalog did not discriminate. Mail in your order form with your money and the goods would arrive at your door. Sales continued to grow rapidly, and the prosperity of the company, with their vision for greater expansion, led Sears to take the company public in 1906. The successful initial public offering marks the first major retail IPO in American financial history. Sears would go on to corner the market on goods, often rebadging items from little-known manufacturers with a Sears logo. This was a win-win marketing plan that benefited all parties. The unknown company now had a marketplace back with a name known for quality products. Sears would get the rights to sell the products at a reduced rate, passing that savings on to the consumer. They even began creating and marketing their own branded product lines, ranging from kitchenware to hand tools. And in 1927, Craftsman was born. The head of the company's hardware department, Arthur Burroughs, was tasked with the creation of a new branded line of hand tools. He liked the Craftsman name and the imagery it invoked, but unfortunately, that name had already been taken. After some light negotiations, Sears was able to purchase the rights from Marion Craftsman Tool Company for $500. They had the name, now they needed the tools. Sears was not in the business of manufacturing. They didn't own a single factory. Their business model was sales and marketing, and they did it so well that manufacturers lined up to get a piece of the action. It didn't matter to them whose name was on the tool as long as the orders came pouring in, and they did. Craftsman sockets and drive tools were made by New Britain. Screwdrivers from Western Forge and Pratt & Reed. Stanley, Danaher, more drop forgings. Just a handful of manufacturers set to the task of producing an inexpensive product backed by a guarantee sure to outlive the purchaser. The brand's early customers were mostly the aforementioned farmers, but with the popularity of the automobile and the mechanization of the country, quality hand tools were a hot commodity, and the tool line needed an upgrade. Arthur Burroughs' successor, Tom Dunlop, was the man for the job, and what a job he did. Vanadium steel and chrome plating took the place of high-carbon steel, 50% thinner and 200% stronger, with a sleek, futuristic look and feel. The tools were finally good enough to be in the hands of their namesake. The craftsmen of the day were sold on the new line of tools. Dunlop didn't stop there. As the Craftsman name grew in popularity, it became easy to sell just about anything bearing the tool's name. Power drills, table saws, lathes, tool chests, band saws, grinders, you name it. If it was of sufficient quality and the price was right, it would be in the catalog. And that is exactly how our gear-reduced whetstone came to have the Craftsman badge. While we don't know a lot about this company, thanks to Keith Rucker and VintageMachinery.org, we have this information compiled on their website by user ToolGuyBack. And I can't stress this enough, guys. If you ever have any questions about tools or a tool company, definitely get over to VintageMachinery.org and check out the site. It's incredible. Okay, here we go. AA Products Company. AA is short for Ann Arbor. It was founded in 1934 by Herbert H. Upton and Finley Riggs in Ann Arbor, Michigan. They made a variety of small wood and metalworking machines for five and dime stores and Sears. The company moved to a better facility around July 1st, 1940. During World War II, AA produced gun parts for the American government. In 1957, as AA Products Companies, they became a division of Brown & Sharp Manufacturing, best known for their machinist tools, of course. AA Products was an early maker of Companion, Dunlop, and Craftsman machines for Sears and Roebuck, under the model number prefix 109. VintageMachinery.org also has almost every Sears catalog available on a downloadable PDF, and I was able to find the original advertisement in the 1953 issue. It reads, Craftsman wet grindstone, extra heavy duty, highest quality natural Ohio grindstone, 10-inch diameter, 1.5-inch face, built-in jack shaft, heavy cast iron body, cast iron bearings, And I can tell you right now, we may have an updated version because this has aluminum bronze bushings in it. Adjustable 3-inch tool rest, hinged splash guards, drain plugs with 4.5-inch drive pulley. Use 1.5-inch motor pulley with 1750 RPM motor. Gray enameled, bench top not included. We recommend certain model number bench with 2 extra certain model number cross rides. This is really cool. You would actually buy the motor and the cross slides. I guess you'd have to find your own belt because they didn't have the belt. So, oh no, the motor came with a pulley and a belt. That was pretty cool. So you get the whole package, and you'd spend around $50 or so. I mentioned in the beginning of the video that Craftsman and Sears had done some kind of shady things to people who created some tools for them, and we'll touch on that a little bit. There was a teenager that invented a quick-release ratchet and offered the patent to Sears. Well, Sears told him the patent was valueless, and they gave him $10,000 for it. And then they went on to make $44 million selling those ratchets. I mean, specifically related to that ratchet. Now, of course, they were sued, and I think they ended up giving the guy something like $5 million. But, I mean, the way that they did it was really, really shady. They told him that they weren't going to make any money on it, and it didn't even have any real value. And to be honest, if they didn't end up owning the patent, really, more than likely, they probably would have just stole the idea and had someone manufacture it for them. So it is good that they did end up buying it for a reduced rate because that wasn't so much of a trouble. But they ended up making a ton of money, and we're only talking a little bit of that as profit for the idea. The idea would have never existed. This kid made them $44 million. Of course, that was in sales. You have all the marketing expenses and the business expenses and the manufacturing expenses and the tooling expenses that go on top of that. And let's say that that's even half of it, which we know it's not. They still came out pretty good because this kid came up with an idea. The other would be the infamous Bionic Wrench. A gentleman had created and patented a wrench and actually started making them and selling them, and was approached by Craftsman to purchase the wrench. So the guy chose to make the wrench in-house. He went ahead and tooled up and was prepared for his long-term contract fulfillment. I think it was like a 10-year contract. After 1 year of production, Craftsman didn't call him back for any more orders, and they just started having someone in China knock off the wrenches with a slightly different change and left him out to dry. Of course, he won that suit as well. I don't know if he ever got paid, though. I know it's been a long time since I've made a video for you guys. I want you to go over and check out Roger's Fix-It Barn. This is actually his tool. I'm restoring it for him. Great guy, helped us out a lot in the Good of the Land Fest. Just want to say thank you to Roger, so I'll put a link in the description that you guys can check out his channel. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more content, like this video, give it the thumbs up, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Turn on all your notifications and go back and watch a couple of my older videos.